Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you critical and in-depth reviews of just about every indie game we can get our hands on, and today we're going to be taking a look at A Whole New World for the Nintendo Switch. And no, I don't mean the Disney song, different spelling, totally different thing. And if you've never heard of A Whole New World before, and you are an adventure or a platforming style gamer, it's one that you're going to be happy you checked out the review for. Starting off with the game's story, it's an obvious tribute to that early NES-style era gaming with an adventure story based in a world wrought with strife that even a god, or in this case goddess, had to intervene. Things in this world got so bad that the goddess decided to split both worlds into a good world and an evil world, and this intervention left her so drained that she had to put all of her remaining powers and abilities into different gems and scatter them throughout both of the worlds. But even taking this precaution that so no one could take advantage of the goddess in her weakened state, somehow the evil forces of the evil world managed to breach their ways into the good world and start wreaking utter havoc. And unfortunately, good people apparently can't fight very well because no one could stop this breach of the evil forces except for one man, the Potion Master. And this is pretty much where we get to start taking over the character's role and actually playing the game. And playing as the Potion Master, thankfully you'll have an unlimited supply of potions, otherwise the game would probably be over pretty quick. A brief introductory level gives us an idea of the game's general mechanics. Basically, you can jump and you can lob potions, and you're probably supposed to kill the bad guys or at least avoid them, or you're gonna end up dying. You do thankfully have a pretty forgiving health bar with multiple hearts. You also have 2 lives, not counting the one you're currently playing on, and interspersed throughout each level you're gonna be able to find chicken legs to refill some of your health. But after this short introductory chapter where we get to clean up a few mobs, we're introduced to the game's final boss, and after even just a few seconds, he wipes the floor with you completely, leaving you to be rescued by a small fairy and also nurturing some player investment in the game. You now know as the actual player of the game just how difficult that final boss is going to be, and being given an extra life by your new fairy pal, you can start playing through the game's 6 chapters to try and find those gems that the goddess left behind to eventually get enough power to beat that game final boss. Each of the gems, though, each having their own unique power, is protected, of course, by a boss fight. And at the end of each of the uniquely themed levels, there will be a uniquely themed boss that uses the power of that gem. So whether you fight an electrified opponent to get the lightning potions, or a split cloud of fire and ice to get the fire and ice potion, you'll have to work to memorize each boss's unique attack portfolios and adapt your playstyle to their patterns in order to claim that ability for yourself. And then of course, as you would expect, the next chapter will rely heavily on that new skill you've just acquired to make it to the end to fight the next boss. And it's because of these reasons, the intense platforming, the gaining of new abilities to access new areas, that A Whole New World seems to almost be kind of like a quasi-Metroidvania. Despite the difficulty though, whether it's playing through the levels of the game or trying to fight those bosses, A Whole New World does actually provide a pretty healthy smattering of health and checkpoints. So whether you are trying to speedrun the game or you're trying to explore every corner to get all the collectibles, no matter how often you die in the game, you probably won't have to backtrack all that far. Moving away from the game's general mechanics, though, the graphics and the audio of this game are going to be a pretty big draw for any nostalgic gamer. All of the visuals, the pixel art, and even the enemy animations and attack styles are all really true to form for that NES classic era. The music itself is both chippy and well suited to the style of gameplay, and the enemies' sound effects and the sound effects their attacks go a long way in helping the player to kind of predict the scenario they're about to get into. And so if you really are going to try and leave your mark on this game as a speedrunner, getting used to those enemy attack sound effects is going to probably save your life on more than one occasion. But even considering all of this praise, just like every other game that's ever been made, A Whole New World isn't exactly free of flaws. The first consideration players should have is the fact that A Whole New World isn't actually a Metroidvania-style title, and if you've heard that it is, here's a few reasons that it's not. You can cycle through attack items kind of like in Castlevania, and you do gain abilities that allow you to access other areas kind of like Metroid. But there's really no leveling up, there's no customization, and you're not replaying through a large interconnected map. So no, A Whole New World is not a Metroidvania, it's an action platformer. And the other consideration, though this for some players may be a little bit take it or leave it, is enemy placement and difficulty. Obviously difficult games can be difficult just by virtue of being difficult, but then some games can be more difficult if you put enemies in certain places and you make certain attack patterns a little less intuitive. Early in the game, you'll be swarmed by swooping bats that blend in perfectly with the night sky. And this will baptize you pretty quickly into the realization that you won't always be prepared for certain attacks, or the number of attacks, or the amount of sequential attacks by the exact same type of character. And still other areas of the game almost divorce themselves from the idea of being an adventure platformer and go straight into bullet hell. And though absolutely everything is manageable, and with health and checkpoints being all throughout the game, it's not too terribly difficult because you never have to backtrack that far. But to me personally, if my attacks can't go through walls, enemy attacks shouldn't be able to go through walls either. But again, that's neither here nor there, and it's not game breaking, but it is something that can potentially cause player frustration. Overall though, for a casual playthrough of about 3 hours, and possibly a lot more if you're trying to go for a completionist ending, A Whole New World is a pretty solid adventure platformer. Even despite some of the frustrations, I really enjoyed my time playing through it. And in all honesty, there was a lot more than nostalgia that made me enjoy it. It really did feel like a new game. So if you are a platforming fan, if you're a speedrunner, or if you're an adventure gamer that's ready for a new challenge, A Whole New World might be something that you want to keep an eye on, especially when it goes on sale for around 99 cents. But anyway, that does about wrap up the review of A Whole New World now on the Nintendo Switch. So if you enjoyed the review, or especially if you found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support. And don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indies coming out literally every single day, and whether they're a hard pass or an absolute unforgettable gem, you're going to find out about them right here. But anyway, this has been The Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.